In this video, I'm going to show you a super powerful cycle that only 5% of the population are able to put into play. It is to do with your thoughts, your beliefs, and your convictions, and how it continually controls the way that our life is directed. So if you put this into play, what I'm about to show you up on the whiteboard here, everything is going to change for you in such a drastic way. There's going to be so many areas of your life that are going to improve because you will now have control of your thoughts and the direction in which they take you. Let's check it out. Hey everyone, my name's Michael and this is The Real Shift. I'm helping you to gain more control of your own subconscious mind because most people are just subject to their subconscious mind, and all of their actions that they're carried out are as a result of not having any control over it. And in this video I wanted to show you a really powerful hidden cycle that nobody is really talking about, that I've learned over the last couple of years and put into play. Guys, if you put this into play, so many different aspects of your life are going to change. It's almost like a domino effect, and you'll see it actually happening once you start this process. And I'm going to do a little bit of a whiteboard presentation, so excuse the, I guess, the messy sort of writing and everything else, but this is my first go at this, so we'll see how it goes. But we just need to remember, first of all, that the first part of this cycle is it starts at the thought. And we often talk about our thoughts create our reality. And the issue is that most of the time we don't have control of, number one, where our thoughts are coming into us. So they're just coming in from all angles of our actual external reality. And then secondly, we don't have enough conviction in the way that we are actually putting our internal thoughts into play as well. So it all starts at this point here, right at the thoughts. All right. And some of them, the thoughts are actually incoming and some are outgoing. All right. So we have incoming thoughts and outgoing thoughts. And so the incoming thoughts are the ones that are from all of our, I don't know, from the media, from your friends, ideas from people, everything that's outside of you that is kind of sending messages at you and you're accepting them as being thoughts. You may or may not accept them, but we're going to move through this cycle to show how this works. So outgoing thoughts are your actual choice of thought. So it's like a conscious thought that you're actually putting out there. So that's the difference. So it starts off with the thought. Now, when the thought comes in, and let's just say I've got maybe a public speaking gig that's coming up, and I'm a little bit I'm just thinking about it. It's a thought that's come into my mind. So we've got the thought there, a public speaking gig. Now, initially that thought comes in, but when it comes to me, I feel a particular type of emotion. So when we get emotion attached with the thought, it actually energizes that thought more, okay? So we've got an emotion here. So when we have an emotion attached to the thought, what happens is this continually gets energized back into the thought again. So it builds it up and builds it up, and it becomes, you know, that thought of, like, let's just say you had a public speaking gig coming up, and I've got emotion involved in it now because I'm feeling nervous. All right, so I'm feeling a little bit nervous about it, you know, and so that makes me feel a little bit uneasy inside. So that's an actual emotional charge. So now that is now feeding into that thought, energizing that thought, and then again it sort of rotates back around to the emotion, and this just keeps circulating around and around and around until eventually it becomes an actual belief. All right, so I'm now nervous about this speaking gig, all right, and then now it's emotionally charged, I'm feeling nervous about it, until at some point it actually becomes a belief. So I've got self-doubt. So self-doubt starts to come in, and that then becomes a belief. So we have a belief. So now internally we actually have a belief that, you know, maybe I've got some self-doubt about being a public speaker. All right. So it started at the thought. It's been charged by the nervousness, all right, and that is an emotion, okay, and then that's also self-doubt. So we've got self-doubt coming through this speaking gig, all right. It's circulating around until it becomes an actual belief inside of me, but it's not 100% complete at this point. So it's not totally ingrained in my actual being just yet. So yes, it's a belief, it's something that I've bought into. So now I have self-doubt in relation to the speaking gig coming up. So that's actually become a belief, but there's still a long way to go in this cycle. So from the belief side, what happens is that belief then moves towards programming a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. And so what the reticular activating system does is it is programmed from this belief, okay, of me having self-doubt, okay, about me being a public speaker. And so what it does now is it's looking everywhere externally to try to confirm this. So it's looking for confirmation. So I've experienced this personally so many different times, and why I'm using public speaking is because this was my greatest fear 5 years ago. And so when I started to get different speaking gigs as a result of some of the international projects that myself and my business partner had been working on, then I had to overcome this, and this cycle was the way that it sort of happened with me. So what happened was, when I got this belief that I'm not a good speaker, the RAS had actually looked at other speakers. So it's going to actively look out at confirmation that you're not good enough. And so when you enter this process in a negative thought pattern, which is what I'm showing you first, what happens is this is now starting to find confirmation of that. And it did so, all right? So now it's even reaffirming it, so it's a confirmation. So what happens is it's basically getting feedback for me. So it's looking at other people who I perceive as being better than me, and basically sending me the message that I'm definitely not good enough. So we get a confirmation. So that is now confirmed. So it's a confirmation. I've also got that feedback to reinforce this belief here. And so from that point, when we've got the confirmation as well, then it becomes an internal conviction internally for me. So now there is conviction. And that is the final part of the cycle. And the conviction element of it is it becomes part of me. It's like, this is just me. I've accepted this as being the truth. And then I can move on. And so we then move on in life with this conviction that I am just not a good enough public speaker. Thoughts, emotion, belief, RAS starts to kick in to find confirmation, and then that moves to conviction, and that is ultimate acceptance within yourself. So this just continues to cycle around, and you'll see so many people that have just been in these cycles of just not really moving. It's like a rigidity where they have just accepted that this is the truth. And once you've gone around a few different times with this cycle, it becomes incredibly difficult to break. So I really just wanted to show you that on the negative side of things, and then I want to show you now on the positive side of things as to how this can work for you and you can gain control of this whole process. All right, so let's start again, this time with you actually being in control of this entire cycle. So I have a public speaking gig coming up, right? Now I can choose to put an outgoing thought out there that actually I am good enough to do this gig, right? So that's just a thought, okay? Moving to the emotion, it's like I'm feeling into that space of, yeah, I am good enough. I am feeling like I am able and capable of doing this. It's an empowered feeling, right? So I'm able to get my message across to other people effectively. That gives me confidence, right? So now when I've got confidence, then I'm actually empowering that thought again, right? So it's circulating, it's building up that thought, around and around it goes until eventually it's going to pop out as being a belief that I am actually a confident speaker and I'm going to be able to confidently take on that speaking opportunity. So it's become a belief, but it's not quite there yet. All right, so it's not actually internalized just yet. It's just become a belief. And so from the belief, the RAS is actually going to go out on a mission now to confirm that I'm a confident speaker. So the RAS might, for example, look at maybe my past and have a look at another gig that I've spoken at, successfully, and I've actually done quite well at it. And so from there, it's actually found that I have been a confident speaker in the past, and I have the skill set, and I have the ability to be able to do it effectively. And so it's done that, and so that gives me confirmation. All right, so that gives me confirmation that I am a confident speaker. And so from there, it's then internalized the conviction. So now I'm convicted. I know that it is deep within me that I am absolutely 100% confident. It's not just a belief. It doesn't just have some emotions to a thought attached to it. It's actually become an actual conviction. It's so much more than a belief. And so when you have charged yourself up on this process, just remember that it all started with the thought back here. All right. So I could have gone on a different tangent and gone on a negative thought process and then started to charge it up with this negativity. And then that becomes a belief. And then I move down this line of feeling like I'm inadequate for this upcoming gig. Whereas actually it all started here and I had the choice. I hope you guys are sort of digesting this and you can see the power of it. And so just throwing in an extra element for you guys as well, and this is why I speak about meditation, is because most people think about meditation as being just a spiritual practice. It's something just to calm the mind. But what we're actually doing is we're separating ourselves from our thoughts, so we don't see our thoughts as being us. So when you're actually meditating, it's almost like you've got a level of awareness that's outside of yourself. So you can actually see and have more control of the thoughts because you're literally watching them go by like clouds passing in the sky. And you can select, bang, I like that thought, particularly if it's an incoming thought. You can select whether you like it or whether you resist it. And so it just gives you more power. It gives you more ability to be able to get into this cycle and have control of it. Otherwise, you are controlled by this cycle. 95% of people are controlled by this. It's well worth just starting to become consciously aware of your thoughts. And just remember, when you can feel them becoming charged up by the emotion, guys, you are the only one that can gain control again of your mind. The thoughts that are coming in, you can actually filter them. And I'm going to bring out weekly videos based around these types of topics. They're here to empower you. I'm hoping that you can gain something from them. Make sure you consider subscribing today, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks, guys.